Star Destroyers are massively impressive vessels in every sense of the word. Recently, we did a deep dive into every Star Destroyer class and mentioned that they have a big brother, the Star Dreadnought. That brings us to today. This is every single Super Star Destroyer class explained. Real quick, we wanted to let you know about the May 4th events happening on our Discord server. To celebrate Star Wars Day, we're hosting draws, trivia games, and a live discussion for Tales of the Empire. There will be up to $200 worth of free merchandise from red5.shop, also given out throughout the day. It's all happening on our official community hub on Discord. I'll see you there. Executor-class. The Executor-class Star Dreadnought or Executor-class Star Destroyer, both meaning the same thing, were some of the largest and most powerful Imperial starships ever created, the most famous of which being the Executor, Darth Vader's personal flagship. Like with the standard Imperial Star Destroyers, the Star Dreadnoughts were designed by Lena Wessex and constructed by Kuat Drive Yards. Vessels of the Executor-class Dreadnought line measured at 19,000 meters in length and utilized 13 Executor 50X engines. These starships had a crew of 280,784 and could carry 38,000 troops and support staff. The Executor-class Dreadnought boasted an armament of unimaginable firepower, composed of over 5,000 turbo lasers. This included 750 twin heavy turbo laser batteries and 1,000 turret-mounted twin light turbo laser batteries. The massive Dreadnought additionally possessed 125 assault concussion missile launchers, 100 twin battleship ion cannons, and 250 turret-mounted quad laser cannons. The Executor-class Dreadnought had a complement of over 1,000 starships, including 144 TIE Series starfighters, including standard TIE fighters, TIE bombers, and TIE interceptors, divided into 12 squadrons. The Executor-class Dreadnought also possessed 200 assault shuttles, transport shuttles, and support craft, and Y-85 Titan dropships. On top of its space complement, the Executor-class Dreadnought carried several all-terrain walkers, including 24 AT-ATs and 50 AT-STs, and 2 IM-455 modular garrisons. According to the Rebel Alliance's intelligence agency, more than a dozen Super Star Destroyers were made, including the Executor itself, its sister ship, the Annihilator, the Arbitrator, the Eclipse, and the Ravager. However, the true number remained a subject of debate as Rebel Alliance analysts tried to make sense of Imperial propaganda and see through the smoke and mirrors designed to hide the scope of Palpatine's secret weapons programs. Vader's Executor was notably destroyed during the Battle of Endor. Star Dreadnought prototypes. The 2019 Super Star Destroyer expansion pack for Fantasy Flight Games miniatures game Star Wars Armada introduced 2 prototype Star Dreadnoughts. The Star Dreadnought Assault prototype was constructed surrounded by a large dock running more than half of the Star Dreadnought's length in orbit above a cloudy planet. The Star Dreadnought Command prototype was escorted through space by several Imperial II-class Star Destroyers and was said to be equipped with sunlight engines. Unfortunately, that's about all we know about these 2 vessels. Allegiance-class. The Allegiance-class battlecruiser was similar in appearance to the Victory-class Star Destroyer, but was much larger, reaching a length of 2,200 meters. Similar to the Tector-class Star Destroyer, the Allegiance-class battlecruiser lacked ventral hangar bays. The model could seemingly only rely on its own exterior ordnance, as the Allegiance appeared to be unable to carry any starfighters or ground vehicles internally. The vessel's superstructure that surrounded its bridge tower was far smoother than those on the Imperial class, allowing for better armor coverage and less exposure of the interplate surfaces. The Allegiance class was armed with gun batteries in a similar layout to those on the Imperial I class Star Destroyer, albeit with an increased number of guns, 6 instead of 4. The ship also had several cannons situated on the mid-axis of the vessel. Assertor-class. One of the largest vessels in the Imperial Navy in terms of size and power, the Assertor-class Star Dreadnought was characterized by its long and thin arrow-shaped hull. It was second in size only to the Executor-class in the Imperial fleet. It measured 19,000 meters and was armed with 5,000 turbo lasers. The Assertor was manned by 125,000 officers, pilots, and enlisted crew, while also carrying 20,000 troops and support staff. It maintained a complement of 120 starfighters, as well as numerous shuttles and ground vehicles. The Assertor was additionally optimized as a sector command ship and served as a powerful mobile weapons platform. Venator-class. Manufactured in limited numbers, the Venator-class was smaller than the Assertor-class, although little other specifics are known about this ship. Mandator-class. The first starship to receive the designation of Dreadnought, the Mandator-class evolved into the later Mandator II and Mandator III classes. Introduced in the Clone Wars, the class was far larger and more heavily armed than the Venator-class Star Destroyer, and was produced in fewer numbers than this common Jedi cruiser. By the time of the Galactic Empire, the Mandator III class Dreadnought was specifically designed to be a hulking weapons platform and was both longer and more heavily armed than its predecessors at 12,000 meters in length. The Mandator IV class was later developed and used by the First Order. Admiral Akbar himself claimed it had more firepower than a dozen Star Destroyers, and that they were designed for large-scale planetary assault. It was 2.5 times the length of the Resurgent-class, the First Order's standard Star Destroyer, coming in at over 7,600 meters. It boasted a crew of 53,000 officers, 140,000 enlisted personnel, and 22,000 stormtroopers. The Mandator IV class was notably armed with 2 orbital autocannons that could fire a salvo of 2 rounds each in quick succession before a recharge was needed. A single shot could obliterate planetary deflector shields as if they were an afterthought and turned 100 cubic meters of crust into vapor and slag. Eclipse class. Marking a new generation of Super Star Destroyer, the Eclipse class was mainly used around 6 years after the Battle of Endor. They were originally designed as flagships for Emperor Palpatine and were constructed in relative secrecy. The massive Eclipse class vessels measured 17.5 kilometers in length and was one of the largest ships to ever be constructed. Although the Executor class measured 1.5 kilometers more in length, the Eclipse class had a far greater mass than any other Super Star Destroyer. The most deadly weapon carried by Eclipse class ships was an axial super laser, similar to but significantly less powerful than one of the component beams used in the Death Star's super laser. The class benefited from the most significant weaponry improvements of the last few decades. This included improved ion cannons and gravity well projectors, the latter of which were the same type included on the interdictor-class Star Destroyers. An Eclipse-class vessel carried 600 TIE interceptors and 96 TIE bombers, divided into 58 squadrons. For ground assault, they carried 150,000 Imperial soldiers, 100 AT-ATs, and 5 prefabricated bases. Each ship of the class was crewed by over 700,000 personnel, and even carried a complement of Shadow Droid starfighters. An Eclipse II class was also later introduced, with additional engines and a secondary command bridge towards its super laser. Sovereign class. A planned vessel that would essentially have been a smaller version of the Eclipse class, the Sovereign class Star Dreadnought measured 15,000 meters long. It too was equipped with a super laser akin to the one on the Death Star. Since they were slightly smaller than the Eclipse class, the Empire anticipated that the Sovereign class would come into service first. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Mega class. The Supremacy, Snoke's command ship, was the only known Mega-class Star Dreadnought in the First Order Navy. It was more than 60 kilometers wide and almost 13 kilometers long. The Mega-class was so big that it could carry 6 Resurgent-class Star Destroyers in the aft portion of its wings, as well as 2 internally. It could carry 2,225,000 personnel, including stormtroopers and officers. The Supremacy infamously housed Supreme Leader Snoke's throne room and served as the de facto capital of the First Order. The massive vessel sustained extensive damage thanks to the Holdo maneuver, splitting it in 2. Despite the heavy damage, the Supremacy remained functional, but it was later abandoned by the First Order. The Arc Hammer. Another one-of-a-kind Super Star Destroyer, the Arc Hammer was an Imperial spacefaring production facility used to supplement the Imperial Stormtrooper Corps with Dark Troopers, a new generation of battle droid stormtroopers. It was about half the size of the Executor and was a unique shape, featuring 4 columns surrounding a central one at the base of its triangle-shaped wedge. The Arc Hammer served as a primary testbed of the Dark Trooper project, a brainchild of General Rob Mock, which was to create larger, more powerful robotic versions of stormtroopers. We have a video on the channel that goes into great detail about the evolution of the Dark Trooper. Though not its purpose, the arc hammer was equipped with enough weaponry to defend itself against attack from space. Ultimately, the arc hammer was sabotaged and destroyed by Kyle Katarn. Vengeance-class. The Vengeance-class was based on the Executor-class, but its frame was supplied with a slender build, more narrow than standard Star Destroyers, almost sword-like in comparison to the usual dagger shape. The Vengeance was only shown defeating a small CR-90 Corvette, but the ship class it belonged to had armaments similar to Star Dreadnoughts of the Executor-class. The Megador. This vessel was primarily used as the flagship of Admiral Pelion's Imperial Remnant against the New Republic during the Second Galactic Civil War. This ship only appeared in novels, meaning the details surrounding it are vague. The Armada. This was another to only appear in novels, but it was another wedge-shaped Imperial Dreadnought. But that about does it for every single Imperial Superstar Destroyer or Dreadnought. While the capital ships of other factions were technically called Dreadnoughts, like those of the Separatists, we wanted to keep this one Imperial-focused. But which one is your favorite? Which would you like to see us cover next? Let me know in the comments. Come join us to chat more at our community Discord server, linked in the description. If you enjoyed today's Star Wars video, we've got more on the screen for you right now. Also make sure to drop a like, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe to join the Red Squadron. Until next time, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you. Red 5, standing by.